It's October 1st, 2015. We're at World Dairy Expo, and it's my great pleasure to be visiting with Dr. Bob Rowe, this year a National Dairy Shrine Pioneer, and is going into the Hall of Fame. Bob, quite an honor.
It's very humbling, Dave. It's just unbelievable. I've been in the dairy industry since I was born. Still am. Still doing it. And to have your industry honor you with that kind of an award, unbelievable.
Well, we'd like to get the people to know a little bit about Dr. Bob and some of the things that you have, but let's just start at the beginning. You grew up in the dairy industry, and where and how did this all get started?
I was born in Kenosha, Wisconsin, the southeast corner of the state of Wisconsin, and my father had emigrated with his father to Kenosha County, and then we moved across the line to Racine County in a little community called Kansasville. And so I went to graded school in Kansasville, and then attended high school in Burlington. And interestingly enough, because we're involved with the judging contests and stuff, as a freshman in high school, I made the state high school, or the state 4-H judging team, with the other three people were from Walworth County. They needed a fourth because their original fourth couldn't do it. So I judged 1 year, and then I couldn't judge anymore because of the rules of the 4-H contest. Wisconsin didn't do real well that year, but it was good training for later on.
Well, obviously you were a good student, and they probably told you, Bob, you got to go to the university, and you did.
Well, interestingly enough, I had two offers. In my day and age, I was tall, and basketball was my sport. And I got an offer to go to River Falls, and I got an offer to go to Platteville. I turned them both down to go to the university, and I did.
Well, you obviously were exposed to some important professors that, gave you a focus for your career decision. Tell us somewhat about your mentors.
Well, they were great, number one. As an undergraduate, the chairman of the dairy science department was Dr. Bob Niedermeyer. The judging coach was Dr. Jim Crowley. Actually, my assistant judging coach was Dr. Dave Dixon. All three of those mentors of mine were already pioneers in the dairy shrine, and I will join that group. So it's pretty good stuff.
Well, your judging career really blossomed at the university, and you attended the National Intercollegiate Judging Contest and had a pretty good day.
David, it was 50 years ago, 1965. That we participated in that contest in Waterloo, Iowa. Our team ended up third. I won the high individual and the Kildee scholarship. So I got to meet Dean H.H. Kildee, who presented me with the scholarship at that time. That's great.
And that scholarship said you needed to go to graduate school, and you did.
And I did. I originally went to graduate school in animal breeding. My major professor was Dr. Tip Tyler, whom you know very well, and did finish a master's degree in animal breeding. And then I really wanted to become a veterinarian. And so Wisconsin kids couldn't get into vet school real easily because we had no vet school. And so I applied to all the schools around the Midwest. And finally, I got accepted to Michigan State University, which is where I went to veterinary school.
Well, ultimately, you are a very proud graduate of that veterinary school, but you came back to Wisconsin and really started some pioneer research, which is really the basis for this award, some of the revolutionary things that you helped develop.
I had been in general practice after I got out of the Air Force. I was in the Air Force for 2 years also at the tail end of the Vietnam era. Came back, and there was an opening at the State Diagnostic Laboratory. They needed a reproductive physiologist, and reproduction was my specialty at that time. So I applied for that position and received it. Part of the deal with that position was that you could get an advanced degree. Well, I already had a master's degree, and so I went to the veterinary science department at Madison and talked to who became my major professor, O.J. Ginther. And Ollie is a world-renowned reproductive physiologist in both cattle and horses and other species. And of course, I was interested in cattle and not horses. And we had two groups in our lab, the cowboys and the ponies, pony guys. There were only two of us in the cow department, and at that time, and this was in the mid-70s, 75, 76, the way embryos were collected was through a surgical procedure. The donor was anesthetized. Surgery was done to pull up the reproductive tract. Oviducts and reproductive tract were flushed for the embryos. Then the cow was sewn up and taken off the anesthesia. And recipients received the embryos the same way. There were two of us in the lab. There was no way that we could do all the work to get the embryos and then try to do a study. So we backed up and said, no, wait, there's got to be a way to collect these embryos without surgery. And interestingly enough, the very first time we tried a non-surgical collection, we got embryos. We probably didn't get them all, but we got some, and we were high-fiving all the way to the bank. And then we refined those techniques for non-surgical collection. And if the collection could be done without surgery, we anticipated that the transfers could also be done without surgery. And so we were the first to accomplish that and record it and publish it. So, you know, here we are 35, 40 years later, and thinking about embryo transfer, and it's sort of a kitchen term because a lot of people do it, and nobody cuts on cows anymore, but we were the first ones to not do it, not cut on them.
Well, I know you knew it was revolutionary and you knew that it would change things, but did you ever get the feeling that it would have the international impact it does today?
You know, I received a couple of letters after the announcement that I'd won a Pioneer Award, and they were from people, highly renowned people in the genetics business. And they congratulated me on establishing the most important tool for using the genetics of the female. Not the bull in AI, but the female. So that makes you feel pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
It makes you feel pretty good.
Well, a few years ago, the Dairy Shrine did a similar survey, and ET, embryo transfer, is one of the most significant historical breakthroughs of all time.
Yeah, it's been cool, and you know, we developed an American Embryo Transfer Association because of the people that were doing it. And that includes not only the dairy guys, but also the beef guys. And there's also one in Canada. And here in about 2 weeks, we're going to have our annual meeting. Last year, I was fortunate enough to receive the honorary lifetime membership of the American Embryo Transfer Association, again for the same reason.
Well, you obviously had leadership roles in some of these veterinary organizations as well, and very proud of your profession.
Absolutely. You know, David, it's been a great ride. I wouldn't change a thing, not a thing.
Well, I know that you're a family man. Your family's important to you. There are a few people you'd like to just mention as historical part of this record.
Oh yeah, my 4 kids, my grandkids, my wife who's been with me the whole time. I always remember, because when I was a collegian, I worked at Dairy Expo in the very first years. My dad would come. My dad was a farmer, and he would come and spend a day with me at Dairy Expo, and he was always so amazed of all the people that I'd met through the Dairy Shrine and the dairy industry who were kind enough to just say hello. And that impressed him and made him proud too.
Well, Bob, it's a very significant fact that you're a pioneer. I can think of nobody better to receive this honor. Congratulations,
Oh,
and
David,
thank you for your efforts.
thank you, buddy.